Hello and welcome to another Doctor Who Big Finish video. In today's Doctor Who Big Finish video I'll be reviewing the Memories of a Tyrant, the first story in the 6th Doctor and Peri trilogy containing Emissary of the Daleks and Houdini'S War, I believe. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, this is quite an exciting release because Peri hasn't featured in the main range since 2014. If you want to be pedantic properly, we had the older Peri trilogy in the form of the Widow's Assassin, Masters of Earth and the Irani Elite. Fantastic trilogy. I highly recommend those sets of stories. But if you want to be really pedantic, we go back to, I think, July's release, which is Breaking Bubbles and Other Stories, and we have the traditional TV Peri. So this story kind of kickstarts a whole wave of 6th Doctor and Peri stuff. We have the trilogy, we have the Ultimate Evil, and we do have a release in December, which is the Blood of Satan's Claw, which is a 6th Doctor and Peri story, which Big Finish haven't confirmed yet, but Nicola Bryant did say at a panel at LFCC, which was a really good panel actually, where she mentioned a few of her upcoming Big Finish things, like the older Peri is coming back, which is very exciting, and she has said a few other things which I'll leave that for Big Finish to announce. Taking a look at the presentation for Memories of a Tyrant, I have to say I absolutely love this cover. We've got Peri there, we have the Memory Farm logo, the 6th Doctor, then we have the Memory Farm itself, and we have Commander Grisk, which is a Garland, then we have Altruis on the balcony, then Memories of a Tyrant by Roland Moore. The side of the release and the back of the release. So if you want to know more about the story, then do feel free to pause. Then we've got the cast list there, and the total running time being 120 minutes. Taking a look at the leaflet now, so if we open it up, we have production credits there, we have advertisement for Doctor Who magazine, the cast list photo, then we have the next instalment in the main range, the Emissary of the Daleks, which I guess is going to be out Tuesday, knowing the main range, because the main range normally comes out every second week of the month. So there we go. And then turning to the other side, we have the reversible cover. And the disc art is exactly the same for both discs. So July was a massive month for Big Finish, celebrating 20 years of audio Doctor Who with a plethora of releases, the gigantic Legacy of Time, the War Master vs the 8th Doctor, and of course the return of Lucy Bleeding Miller. So Memories of a Tyrant very much slipped under the radar, so we'll see whether it deserves to slip under the radar or deserves more appreciation in terms of July's releases. So what are my opening thoughts on this story? Well, I think that it's marvellous. I think that it's incredibly rich, the concepts and the themes, and throw in a murder mystery for good extra measure. This story has so much to offer, and this being Roland Moore's first main range story, he absolutely nails it with the wonderfully colourful characters, what will give the 6th Doctor's coat a run for its money, which is true to Roland Moore, as he's very good with characters. You know, take the Night Witches, an early adventure, which is an excellent story, and I highly recommend you check that out if you're a fan of the 2nd Doctor. You know, that story is all centred around Polly and a character called Tatiana. So Roland Moore is the perfect writer to re-establish Peri in the Doctor Who main range. Part 1. A little side note, the theme tune. I know it's a bit of a random thing to mention, but we have the Peter Howell arrangement, which I didn't expect, as we normally get the Dominic Glynn version, so it was a nice little change from the norm to have the Peter Howell arrangement of the theme, so I rather liked that. So the story itself is the Doctor has been invited by Varish, this half-amphibian, half-plant creature, to the Memory Farm, a research facility for the retrieval and assimilation of memories. Every moment you have experienced is all in your mind, and the Memory Farm can extract the most buried memories. It's like accessing files from a computer. So that's a fantastic idea. And also throw in the theme of what if memories aren't what you're hoping for. So the Memory Farm is in lockdown with a skeleton crew as they're trying to figure out this mysterious character called Gareth Monroe who has dementia, and the staff are trying to figure out if he is Altruis, this tyrant who committed genocide on an interplanetary scale, wiping out billions of people in the blink of an eye with this apocalypse device. The evidence seems all circumstantial, so is this sweet old man really this monster? The story offers some excellent world building and political climate, and how tense these investigations are and who are the guards. But we have some wonderful character moments between the 6th Doctor and Peri, but this story utilises Peri, you know, wanting to try out the equipment to see her own memories of her father. So we have the glimpses of Peri's childhood, and we get a little glimpse back to Lanzarote from Planet of Fire, which is all rather nice little detail. So while that's all happening, the Doctor is assisting the investigations, and this all leads to a very exciting cliffhanger. And overall, I think this is a brilliant episode. I think this is as episode 1 should be. It hooks you right in, and you're really invested in these characters and the whole story. Part 2. The resolution for the cliffhanger is brilliant. It's very 6th Doctor with a snide comment once he'd finished resolving the situation. And I think that this really shows how adaptable the Doctor is, that he doesn't rely on a sonic screwdriver. But things are getting more intense as the story becomes a murder mystery with them trying to figure out this assassin, but we do have a very interesting revelation, how does Garius Monroe remember Peri? So this part is divided by the Doctor investigating the murder and trying to find the assassin, while Peri is trying to help uncover Monroe's true identity, as we have flashbacks to Monroe and Peri. So we start having a breakthrough, and we start to see parallels of events happening on the memory farm to Monroe's past, which is very nice. We expand more on the Daleks, those people, with them thinking Monroe is innocent, since Altruis wiped out their enemy. The cliffhanger is one of those oh wow moments. It's one of those ones where you think, blooming hell, that is really good, because the build up to the reveal at the end of episode 2 is just expertly handled. Who on earth is Monroe? When the truth comes to light, it sent a shiver down my spine. It is one of those moments where you're just like, I need to listen to episode 3 straight away. Part 3, so things are really heating up, and this is when the story becomes incredibly difficult to talk about, because this is when we have sort of the major plot twists and turns happening, and I don't want to spoil them for you. I think that's for you to discover for yourself and have the fun. But the story does go full Sixth Doctor mode, and Peri really, takes centre stage within this part. She takes charge of leading the investigation to expand more on Altruis with his brutal past, with us learning more about his hideous crime. So this part is incredibly tense as every second counts. Events are changing, evidence is being manipulated, so the story starts to become more action orientated with the murderer revealed. But while all that's going on, we do have some lovely classic references from a Sontaran card game to the Green Maggots and Paladin. Part 4 is just absolutely chaos and just action packed. We have the Garland warriors invading the memory farm, and why can't Monroe leave the memory farm? And we expand more on the murder's motives, and Peri gets a badass moment, and the story does wrap up rather nicely. But I do have a problem, as one thing is left ambiguous, and I know Roland Moore wanted to answer the ambiguous thing, but it kind of bugs me, and I think that if you've listened to the story you'll know exactly what I mean. Moving on to characters now, the Doctor, Colin Baker, another excellent performance, as this story gives Colin something different to sink his teeth into, which I don't think has happened since Curse of Davros. And Roland Moore has really captured the sort of softer side of the Sixth Doctor, with him being rather light and bubbly, but Roland Moore still retained, his condescending nature and those sarky jokes after someone died, like in the Two Doctors, when he says to Shockeye, "You're just dessert." So I feel like Roland Moore has found the perfect blend between the Big Finish Sixth Doctor and the TV Sixth Doctor, which I feel makes this story feel a bit more authentic when you have those moments of the Sixth Doctor sort of snide comments. It makes it feel like it is just a story what has just come from the 1980s. So I feel like Roland Moore has just done a perfect job of finding that perfect balance between the Big Finish iteration and the TV iteration of the Sixth Doctor. Peri, Nicola Bryant, she effortlessly slips back into the role like she's never been away, and Nicola Bryant does a sterling job of us showing the wonderful chemistry between Peri and the Doctor, and Peri finally trusting this incarnation of the Doctor. The story is brilliant for Peri, allowing Peri to shine, such in episode 3, and have wonderful character exploration with us learning more about her childhood in Baltimore. So she's totally engrossed in the memory farm, and fascinated by the idea of buried memories. So this is a really good story for Peri. So if you're a Peri fan, you're going to want to check this story out, because Peri really does shine within this story. Gareth Monroe, Joseph Mydell, has a challenging part to play, having to convince as both a subdued, potentially innocent man whose memories are being sifted, and a madman who remembers murdering without apology. And he does a brilliant job, because you think, how on earth is this sweet, frail old man have such a dark history? So you're constantly questioning, is he really Altruis? And as in episode 2, there's a moment where he goes slightly creepy, and the character constantly has, an identity dilemma. Is he really Gareth Monroe, or is he Altruis? He's a character stuck in a time warp. Grisk, played by Stephen Wickham, the leader of the Daleks, a typical brutish character who just wants to see the job done, and rather tetchy, rather impatient, and quite pushy, because he wants results done. And it's brilliantly performed. So what are my overall thoughts on Memories of a Tyrant? Well, I think that this is a brilliant return for Sixth Doctor and Peri, with this being an incredibly strong and solid story. It has a wonderful concept in the form of the memory farm, but the story is incredibly rich with the themes of it having a strong moral and ethical themes. Should somebody be punished if they can't remember the crime they've committed? It sounds like a Louis Theroux documentary. And, memories being repressed, but that's not the only rich things this story has to offer. Roland Moore is not afraid to put characters centre stage, so this story really has plenty to offer. Colin Baker gets something very different to do, and since this is a return of Peri after 5 years, the story really utilises her very well, especially in episode 3. The story constantly has you second guessing with shocking revelation, and this is how you do a main range story. It has enough plot and enough substance to last the 2-hour format, and it's just constantly, it's just a brilliant story. It has so many rich ideas, you know, the themes, the concepts. It's just brilliant, and I absolutely love this story. So I'm going to give this story an 8.5 out of 10. I think that it is a really good, solid start to the 6th Doctor and Peri trilogy, and I cannot wait to see Emissary of the Daleks. Well, listen to that, because Andrew Smith did a wonderful job with Hour of the Cybermen. It was my favourite main range story from last year. It was amazing, so I've got high expectations for that story, and I think that this really does set up this trilogy incredibly well. So yeah, Memories of a Tyrant, done and dusted. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I'll see you in my next Big Finish review. What could be anything really. It could be Legacy of Time, it could be, you know, the Lucy Miller adventures, it could be anything. Sirens of Time, it could be that either. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video, whatever that will be. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.